Hello and welcome. Today we are going to be continuing with Notes Two-Factor Crosses Part 2. A two-factor cross is where we examine two traits at the same time. Maybe plant height and seed color, maybe seed texture and flower color, but we'll be examining two different traits at the same time. This is also known as a dihybrid cross. So today we're going to be working through the notes on two-factor crosses for our notes page. All right, the first section says to use the table to identify the genotypes for the following traits. And it gives the reminder that the word hetero means different and the word homo means similar or same. Okay, so we're going to look in it, and we see that we're working with SpongeBob's today, and we see that we have a blue body and heterozygous round eyes. Okay, so blue body and heterozygous round eyes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the table of traits just to the right, and I can see that the blue body says body color is represented by the dominant Y gene and the recessive blue gene with a lowercase y. Since blue is recessive, if I'm going to have a blue body, it is going to have to be a lowercase y and a lowercase y. That is the only way that a blue body phenotype can be seen, is if we have a homozygous recessive genotype, little y, because if we had a capital Y at all, it would be the dominant gene and would express itself as a yellow body. So blue body is going to look like that. Now heterozygous round, hetero of course means different, so we'll have one uppercase and one lowercase. And I see that round eyes are represented by the letter R. So capital R, lowercase r. So here we have our genotype for the body, and here we have our genotype for the eye shape, and we're going to put those together. I'm going to list them alphabetically. So R, R, Y, Y. Okay, and that is how we have a heterozygous round, homozygous recessive blue body. And that is what the genotype would look like, and we would write that in the blank there next to number 1. All right, number 2 says that we have round pants, and heterozygous eye shape. So round pants and heterozygous eye shape. All right, so again, looking at the table of traits, I can see that square pants are dominant. It is, after all, SpongeBob SquarePants. And so the square pants are dominant, the round pants are recessive, which means that it will be represented with a small s. Okay? So little s, little s. Heterozygous eyes. Heterozygous means I'll have one capital and one lowercase. Eye shape, again, is with an R for round and square, or round and oval, excuse me. And then I will put those together and get a heterozygous eye shape and a homozygous recessive pant shape, and that will be what the genotype will look like for number 2. All right, number 3, homozygous square pants. Okay, homozygous, which means the same. Homozygous square. Looking at the trait, I can see that square is represented by a capital S. So homozygous square will be capital S, capital S. And heterozygous long nose. Okay, so long nose. And it is heterozygous. And let's see, looking, I see that the nose style is represented by the letter L, which means it will be capital L and lowercase l, which I'm going to make cursive just so that it doesn't look like an I or a 1. All right, and then again I'm going to put them together. And get a heterozygous long nose and a homozygous square pant shape. All right, take a moment and see if you can work out 4 through 10. So pause the video and work out 4 through 10. Welcome back. We are now going to be filling in some possible gametes along the side and filling in the traits so that we can see what our percentage chance is of having offspring of a certain trait. All right, let's read the question. SpongeBob's aunt is a round pants and has a cute stubby nose. All right, so I'm just going to write down, let's see, pant shape. Okay, and pant shape will either be round or square. And actually, since square is dominant, I'm going to write it first. Square or round. Okay, so square will be with a capital S, round will be with a small s. All right, so there's our pant-shaped gene. The second part says she has a cute, stubby nose. So we are going to be looking at nose style. In noses, I can see from the trait table that long noses are dominant to stubby noses. And so we will represent that with a capital L, and stubby we will represent with a lowercase l. All right, now, SpongeBob SquarePants' aunt, it says, is a round pant, stubby nose. So she will be a homozygous. In order to see round pants, we have to be homozygous recessive. So round pants and a stubby nose, which means, again, homozygous recessive because it's a recessive trait. So I realize I didn't write those alphabetically, but it'll be okay, SSLL. And that is the aunt. Her fiance is homozygous for square pants and a long nose. Okay, and so the fiance then is going to be homozygous for square pants and a long nose. So capital, capital, and capital, capital, because it says homozygous for both. All right. Now, the next thing that we'll need to do, her fiance always comments on how adorable her nose is, and they wonder what is the chance of that trait being passed on to their own children. So what we need to do is we need to look, we've looked at their traits, and we would write those down in the section that says P for parental genotype. And then we need to look at what the possible gametes are for the aunt. Remember that in order to sort out the gametes, we're going to use our FOIL, first, outside, inside, last. So looking at the first of each letter, it will possibly be an S and an L. Looking at the outside, Again, it would be an S and an L. Inside, little s, little l, and you can see how this is going. Last, little s, little l. So the only possible gamete for SpongeBob's ant is a lowercase s and a lowercase l. And so where it says possible gametes for the ant, let's write down a lowercase s and a lowercase l. Now, looking ahead, possible gametes for her fiancé, first, outside, inside, and last. And I can see that all of those are going to be a big S, big L. So I will write that down right here. All right, so let's take a moment. The next step, of course, is to fill in our Punnett square. I'm going to do that on this first one. So we'll bring down our capital S from here, our lowercase s. Remember that we always need to group the letters together, and we always need to put capitals first if we have them present. All right, so that's what the first one will look like. And then I'm going to ask you to fill in now the rest of the squares in the same way. Hopefully you've had a chance to fill in the Punnett square, and you can see that because we had all of the gametes from the ant were one type and all of the gametes from the fiancé were one type, that literally what we got in the first square is the same thing that we got in the rest of the squares. And that is heterozygous for both pants shape and for nose style. So we can already see that that in this case the pant shape will be square and the nose style will be long, because the dominant trait is present in every single possible offspring that could be produced. So unfortunately for the family that really thinks that the stubby nose is adorable, there is zero chance that will be passed on because of the homozygous dominant traits present in the fiancé. All right, that is how we fill in those bits of information and solve the question. So take a moment now and work through parts C, D, and E. All right. I hope that was helpful, and have a great day.